Alright, I'm traditionally a braid fisherman for carp and catfish. I fish West Point, Georgia a lot, and I'll basically just cut these pieces of wet bread into squares and put them on my hook, and I'll chum a lot. I'll chum several different locations. That way I can keep on moving, seeing if there's bigger fish in one swim or maybe more catfish. But I'm tired of forming hard bread balls and chumming a whole loaf out there. So this is going to show you a way to get a lot of bait without, hand cramping. I got 6 slices of white bread. Put it through the food processor, really fine, grate it, and that's going to be about 6 ounces weighed out. Take some yellow sweet corn, put it in the food processor. That's about half a cup, or about 3 ounces weighed. Don't use cream style, it's going to be too wet. A cup of corn flour, it's about 4 ounces weighed out. 2 large eggs, 2 teaspoons of white sugar, and some corn oil. So I'll put this through the food processor and show you the mixing process. Alright, this is the bread crumb. Once it's come out of the food processor, 6 ounces. It's been weighed out. I will take the cup of corn flour, 4 ounces, and 2 teaspoons of sugar. Mix that together pretty well. You can put it in the food processor if you really wanted to, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Alright, then let's put the corn in. It's important to get the corn really distributed evenly, because you want those little flakes everywhere. You're taking the moisture out of the corn pretty much. Get your hands in there, really get it dried out. It's going to take a couple minutes. Alright, we've been mixing it for a couple minutes. We got all the big corn lumps out of it. We're ready to put the wet mix in. I've already mixed the 2 large eggs and 2 teaspoons of corn oil. Just go ahead and add that to the mixture. This mix isn't perfect because of the wet bread, so I always have a little extra egg on the side with a little bit of corn flour. If it gets too wet, add some corn flour. If it's too dry, add some egg. Mix that together with a fork. Right now we're just going to mix it with our hands. It's hard to tell you what kind of texture to look for. I mean, when it's finally done, it shouldn't really stick to your hands very well. It should be pretty dry, but not too hard to where it won't go through the sausage gun. Feels like dough. I have a sausage gun I want to put it in, so just go ahead and roll it out. That's pretty much it. I mean, you'll see the little flakes of corn. Alright, let's go roll it up. Alright, I got an 18 mil rolling table. I braced it against the wall with the towel, and I just found an object where I can wedge it against the front of it and on my hip. And it supports it a lot easier when you start to roll that. If you don't do that or drill it to the table, it's going to move around on you. And I also have a cocking gun I converted to my sausage gun. 18 mil table, we got a 16 mil head. Always make your head 2 mils smaller than your table. Alright, we'll start to roll them. Get some wax paper. Always put it underneath the front lip, just like that. Alright, you want to be sure when you do this not to force the sausage out, just kind of let it flow naturally. Let it drop on there. That keeps the diameter the right thickness. I'll do a couple rolls just to let you see what it looks like. Alright, always make sure that they're perfectly even with that first row. And the back row, I might just have to cut them off a little bit so they don't go over that. Get them parallel with one another, brace it. Come down with it and just start off a really slow, slow roll. And then smash it completely down. I don't make mine too hard. Whole point of this is to have bread balls out there with a little bit of effort. Now if I had to roll bread balls by hand that many times, then my hands are going to be hurting. So this is a quick way of doing it. Yeah, they all look pretty good. Bring that down onto my wax paper. The ones that almost got away from me. Take a couple leftovers. There's a dumbbell. I mean, it was too small. Just fine, I don't care. It's all chum anyway. Alright, that's pretty much 6 slices right there. I usually do a lot more at one time, but that gives you the gist on what we got. Take that over to the water and dump it in. Got the water boiling. Let's go ahead and pick this up and put it into the boiling water. We're going to let that sit for about 2.5 minutes. Make sure that it doesn't get stuck to the bottom. Set the timer. And we'll come back after 2.5 minutes. Alright, they've been boiling for about 2.5 minutes now. I'll take it over and dump it in the sink. And I'll let it sit there for about 2 minutes, let it drain the water out of it, and then I'll transfer it to my dehydrating trays. Just don't want it to sit there too long. Alright, they've been sitting for about 2 minutes. I'm going to roll them around, make sure they don't stick. And I'm going to transfer that over to my trays. I actually have some dehydrating trays that I'm putting them on. And I'll put it outside for about 2 hours, let it air dry. I don't leave them out overnight. They are made of bread mostly, so they will crack. Keep them in a Ziploc bag. Try to keep them cool if you can. They're a good weekend boilie. They'll stay in the refrigerator or a cooler of ice several days, no problem. I've never tried it longer than that because I usually use them. But you can freeze them. Just get them out that morning you go fishing. Alright, I'll show you what, I'm going to go ahead and roll up the whole loaf and show you what it all looks like at the very end. Alright, this is what I ended up with after rolling a 24-ounce loaf of bread. These are quart bags. It was close to 4 pounds, like 3.7 pounds. Not too bad. That's a lot of chum. You know, I'll put 1 bag in each spot when I first show up. So I need a lot of bait. It's a cheap bait. It's a quick bait to make. Simple ingredients from the local supermarket, nothing fancy. Not overwhelming corn flavor smell. It smells great. It's just a simple bait. It is a soft bait, so definitely keep it in a Ziploc, refrigerate it. It lasts a whole weekend out there in a little cooler, no problem. You can freeze it, whatever. So enjoy.